Why being Arthur Morgan is bad. You are Arthur Morgan. You don't remember much of your mother, just that she was gone before you ever got the chance to know her. Your father, Lyle Morgan, wasn't much of a parent. He was a criminal through and through, a man who lived by the gun and would die by the noose. And die he did. You don't know if he ever loved you, or if he just saw you as another thing he had to drag around while dodging the law. What you do know is that by the time he was hanged, you had already seen enough bloodshed and hardship to last a lifetime. The world didn't give you time to grieve. You were just a kid, alone, and no one in the world gave a damn about you. Then Dutch found you.
I was gonna say you're like a son to me.
You are no longer a boy, you are an outlaw. Dutch von der Linde. Charismatic, charming, a man with big ideas and an even bigger mouth. He took you in, said you were one of his own now, told you that you had a family, a place to belong. You wanted to believe him. The first thing he did was put a gun in your hand. A rifle, heavy for your young arms, the wood warm against your skin from the sun. He taught you how to use it before he ever taught you how to read. If you were going to survive in Dutch's world, you needed to know how to pull the trigger before you could spell your own name. Dutch had a way of making everything sound poetic, even when he was talking about robbing stagecoaches or gunning down lawmen. He spoke about freedom, about living outside the shackles of society, said civilization was a prison and that you, Arthur Morgan, were meant to be free. You didn't question it. Tiam, the only life you've ever known. Most people grow up with choices. They get to dream, to decide if they want to be doctors, merchants, farmers, whatever their heart desires. Not you. Your life was set in stone before you even had a chance to consider another path. The gang was your family, the outlaw life was your only future. You learned to ride before you could walk straight. You could shoot a man dead before you ever had the chance to fall in love. And the worst part? You never even thought about leaving. Where would you go? This was your world. You grew up watching Dutch and Hosea pull off heists that made them seem like gods. You watched the men laugh around the campfire after a successful robbery, the whiskey flowing freely, the money rolling in. You saw the women dance, the kids running around the wagons without a care in the world. For a moment, it almost felt like home. Then the law would come knocking and you'd have to pack up and run again. No place to call home. You don't have a real home. Never have, never will. The gang moves from one hideout to the next, always one step ahead of the law. You've spent nights sleeping under the stars, in barns, in rundown cabins that reek of mold and old blood. Some nights you don't even have that much. You lay your head down on the cold earth, your saddle as a pillow, your hat pulled low over your eyes to keep out the wind. The fire burns low. You shift your weight, trying to ignore the ache in your back, the stiffness in your joints from too many nights spent on the ground. It's not the sleeping rough that gets to you. You can handle that. It's the fact that no matter where you go, no matter how many times you set up camp, you know you'll never get to stay. Every time you get comfortable, something happens. Pinkertons, rival gangs, bad luck. Sometimes it's just paranoia. Dutch gets that look in his eyes, says it's time to move on, time to stay ahead of the heat, and so you pack up, saddle your horse, and ride on to the next place, leaving behind whatever scraps of comfort you might have had. You don't ask questions, you don't complain, because that's just the way it is. But deep down, some part of you wonders what it would be like to stop running, to have a place of your own, to not have to pack up and leave every time things go bad. Not that it matters. The world doesn't want men like you. The law calls you a criminal, society calls you a savage, and deep down, you know they're probably right. Killing is just a part of life. You've taken more lives than you can count. At first, you told yourself it was necessary. Kill or be killed. The only way to survive in this world is to be better at taking life than the next man. But then the bodies started piling up. Some of them you could justify. Men who had it coming. Rival outlaws, bounty hunters, men who'd have done the same to you if given half a chance. But then there were the others. Innocents. Bystanders. People who didn't deserve to die. The ones who just got caught in the crossfire. The ones who just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. At first, you try not to think about them. You tell yourself that's just the way things are. That you didn't have a choice. That if you hadn't pulled the trigger, someone else would have. But the faces don't go away. You tell yourself, it don't matter. But it does. Maybe it always has. You tell yourself that you're just doing what you have to do to survive, but the truth is, you stopped just surviving a long time ago. Killing became more than just necessity. It became routine, a way of life. And that scares you, because you don't know if there's a way back. Too late to turn back. Dutch calls you his right-hand man, his most trusted, the one who always gets the job done. And you believe in him. You believe in him when he says this is the last job. When he says that after this, you'll all be free. But you see the cracks forming. You see Dutch change. The man who once spoke about freedom and justice now speaks only of revenge and blood. He doesn't trust anyone anymore, not even you. At first, you tell yourself you're imagining things, that Dutch is just under a lot of pressure, that things will settle down once you get through this next job, once you get to that mythical paradise he keeps talking about. But you don't believe it anymore. You see it in the way he talks to the others, in the way he pushes them, the way he punishes disloyalty, real or imagined. You see it in the way he looks at John, at you, at anyone who so much as questions him. And you start to wonder if you've wasted your whole life following a man who never really knew what he was doing. But it's too late to turn back now. You've given too much, done too much. There's no going back. All you can do is ride it out and hope you don't end up just another name on the long list of people Dutch has left behind. The inevitable end. You're coughing more these days. The sickness is getting worse. The kind of cough that rattles deep in your chest, the kind that makes your ribs ache and your vision blur. You press a handkerchief to your lips and pull it away, already knowing what you'll see. The red stains are stark against the white fabric, like fresh paint on a blank canvas. Tuberculosis, a death sentence. Funny, you always thought you'd die with a bullet in your chest, not wasting away like some sickly old man. You imagined your last moments would be spent in the middle of a gunfight, your revolver still smoking in your hand, not gasping for air as your own body turns against you. But there's no denying it now. You don't have much time left, and for the first time in your life, you start thinking about what really matters. Not money, not fame, not even Dutch. You think about John, Abigail, and little Jack. You think about how maybe, just maybe, you can do something good before you go. You decide that if you can't save yourself, you'll save them. You help John escape. You give him a future, a chance at the life you'll never have. You ride one last time, knowing damn well you ain't coming back. Micah turns on you just like you knew he would. And Dutch walks away. After everything you did for him, after all the blood, sweat, and years you gave him, he just walks away. And you, left to die in the dust, realize the truth. Dutch never had a plan. Not really. He never had a grand vision, a future for the gang, or a way out. It was all just words, just stories he told to keep people loyal. And you, fool that you were, believed him for too long. The final sunset. You crawl up to that ridge, the whole world spread out before you. The sun is setting, casting a golden glow over the valley below. It looks almost peaceful, almost like the kind of place a man could call home. If only life had been different. You take a breath. It's not easy. Your lungs burn with every inhale, the sickness eating away at you. But you take it anyway. For the first time in your life, you don't have to run. You don't have to fight. You can just sit. And so you do. The wind is gentle against your face. The birds sing somewhere in the distance. You close your eyes, and for the first time in a long time, you feel at peace. And then, nothing.